Hi, welcome to Pursuing Knowledge, brought to you by Pursuit Wealth Group. My name is Brittany Drish, and today I'm joined by Crystal Weiss, a wealth advisor here at Pursuit. And today we're going to be talking about some big financial decisions that some clients are going to be facing when going into retirement. So, Crystal, if you want to start with that.
Yeah, so you've worked your whole life and you've been saving these dollars into various different accounts. And that's where we come in and strategize on, where is my retirement income going to come from? Where are we going to pull these dollars from? What's in law today? And what's that combination of figuring out, where retirement income is going to come from?
Yeah, of course. So let's start out with the $1,000,000 question that a lot of clients come in and ask is, when should I turn on my Social Security benefit?
Yeah, and so that is a huge question we get is, when do I start to take it? Will it be there for me? Where does that come from? And, we will strategize on, should we delay taking Social Security? Do we take it now? Do we, what is my longevity going to look like? What does my health look like? Are you married? So there's a lot of different factors that will come into play to say, when do I turn it on? And we look at all those different factors along with the dollars that you have saved and come up with a strategy based on, what does that look like?
Yeah, so obviously something that's not going to change is taxes, whether you're working or you're retired. So what can clients expect during those gaps of income years with taxes?
Yeah, so, we'll look through and say, hey, are you going to be in a lower tax bracket? Should we do some Roth conversions, meaning, move money from, IRA or tax deferred buckets to Roth based on what's going to be your tax rate? You know, those are super important because maybe in your later years it'll bring your RMDs down. It'll, potentially give you a subsidy of, insurance pre-medical or pre-Medicare age. And so you'll kind of look to see, okay, where can we pull money from? Where can we be tax efficient? And, if we're in a lower income year, we can find some different ways to like move money from a tax deferred bucket to a tax free bucket.
Yeah, so I know a lot of clients, something they struggle with is they spend all of their years working and saving, save, and then they have to kind of switch their mindset to, okay, I've saved all this time, now it's time to spend.
Yeah.
So, how are we able to help clients choose, how to spend down their savings and where to spend down from?
Yeah, so, we'll look at where they are income wise, how much they have saved, what is the market doing, when do they turn on Social Security? And so we're kind of shuffling on, where do we pull it from based on what is going on today and what's in law today. So it's very customized to the client's actual, situation. If you're in a room full of people, we may be able to give some advice, a broad-based advice on where they should pull money from, but we'll get to know your situation intimately and be able to give you kind of more customized advice on, where to pull dollars from.
Yeah, and then another big decision when deciding when to retire is obviously healthcare.
Yep.
So, how are we helping clients kind of cover that gap if they do decide to retire before the Medicare age of 65?
Yeah, and so like that goes along with the same way of where we're going to pull money from at that point in time because there is the ACA subsidy for health insurance pre-65 or pre-Medicare that you're able to get a subsidy of insurance, but it depends on what your income is. So we'll say, hey, we'll pull money from a non-qualified account to lower your income or a Roth, so that way you can get some sort of subsidy at a cheaper level than just going out to the, marketplace to gather insurance pre-65.
Right. Okay. And then the last big decision that people going into retirement will obviously have to make to prepare for the worst is long-term care if that is a need.
Yeah.
So how can we help clients with that?
Yeah, so we'll kind of go through, what are your assets? Do you have an estate plan in place? What does that look like from, do you need some sort of long-term care insurance, to put in place in case you don't have enough assets to supplement what that looks like? But we'll go through and say, hey, what do you have today? What do we need to plan for in the future to say, will you cover a long-term care event for, you and your spouse or just you?
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for your insight today, Crystal. If you are watching this video and you are nearing retirement or you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to our office and we're happy to help you through those. But we thank you for watching and we'll see you next time on Pursuing Knowledge.